So this should be a pretty amusing video. This is kind of a rare thing to have. It is a sort of a smutty men's magazine from 1953, and in 1953, this was definitely considered trash, smut, garbage. If you had this with you in school, you would definitely be going to the principal's office. Today's standards, it's politically incorrect to be sure, but it is probably pretty PG. Uh, it's um, it's called Sir Magazine, and it's the magazine for males. November, it was 25 cents. Probably bought at a kind of a seedy newsstand, um, and as you can see, it's got a few articles. The President's Harem, Why Kinsey Must Be Wrong About Women. The Kinsey Report was getting a lot of traction around this time. And on the back, we have your usual kind of Charles Atlas ad to get in shape. And you would also find this in comic books, but this is a full page ad here in this men's magazine. So this is an interesting little relic from the 50s. This was a piece of politically incorrect kind of what's a good comparison? I guess it's kind of like Maxim, how Maxim was a few years ago for the 50s, but maybe a little bit trashier. So on the inside cover, we have a lot of ads. A lot of them are kind of sketchy looking. There's one. Okay, let me just zoom in here. So it says it's how to be an artist art school, but as you can see, there's a picture of a young woman who's not wearing any clothes. So that's really what the lure is for this art school. This entire training only $9.95. Something tells me that it's a picture book that you would be getting in the mail. So this just gives you an idea of what you're getting into here. How to run a restaurant. I wouldn't trust any of these, by the way. Public speaking for success. 5 acres and independence. How to buy a small farm and run it profitably for $2.95. I think they were making money off the $2.95, and they were running their small farm. Watching clock repairing, locksmithing and key making, piano tuning. This is kind of like a sketchy classified ad. Awaken your hidden mental powers. Build it yourself, jewelers and watchmakers. Complete practical blueprint reading course. I think you might want to just go and get that architecture degree. Swedish body massage. Practical radio servicing. Poetry raising. Retire and be happy. Mastermind. Crime detection and postering. Learn yogi, the art of self-mastery. How to stop forgetting. Professional photography. How to use better English in your letters and conversations. How to write songs. Hypnotism. Voice development. How to sing for money. How to get along in this world. It's easy to, okay, I like how it just kind of closes with that one. So definitely their target demographic was, it was 1953, and their target demographic were guys who were wanting to get an art school book, but was probably just a smut book. So okay, men past 40, Excelsior Institute, rectal and colon troubles treated non-surgically. Rectum. This is funny. This is the very first page is about rectum and colon problems. You can get a free illustrated book, Diseases of Men. Who are troubled with getting up nights, pains in back, hips, legs, nervousness, tiredness, loss of physical vigor that cause maybe glandular inflammation. I'm just smelling something here, and it's. Have you heard that radio ads for there was Al Sharpton, the guy at the Family Feud, Steve Harvey advertises for it. It's like little pills you can take. They're supposed to increase your testosterone. Yeah, same thing. How You Can Become Famous by Robert Keegan. There are several tried and tested formulas for gaining wealth through use of publicity. Greg Sherwood was just another pretty girl till she started campaign for fame. Husband, millionaire Horace Dodge at right. Her name was Greg Sherwood. Interesting. Wrong Way Corrigan got famous, then wrote a best-selling book. Well, yeah, if you get famous, you can write a book, but you have to become famous first. Okay. We too thought it was impossible, but thanks to Brandisfeld's home system, our hair grows again. So, look at the results here. Okay. All right. They can't do it now. I don't think they could do it then. First pictures inside the living bald scalp. They've really got science on their side in this article here, though, and it is really long. So this magazine is like a virtual catalog of every insecurity a man feels. It is all in one here. Here's the table of contents, and let's look at the articles. Sir, a magazine for males, contents, November 1953. Articles, we already saw how you can become famous. Can Martians mate with humans? How boxers get punch drunk. Did the Japs eat our dead? That's a World War II article. The real facts about rejuvenation. How to do your own insulation. Insulation. Why Kinsey must be wrong about women. How an athlete should eat for strength. Screwball sex inventions. Your libido is showing. Handwriting tells all. Fiction. Homecoming. A story. The happy erotic life of Harley Thompson. True stories. The truth about the Lindbergh case. That might be interesting. The President's Harem. My War with the Headhunters by Colonel Lemuel Putman Jr. Hogan the Magnificent, and Forget Those Long Shots, and Specialties Pinup Parisian. So this is an interesting little thing we're gonna look at here now. Here's proof that you can double your income by 1963, from $2,514.63 to $5,114.84. And if you okay, we're talking 10 years and only that's not a very good investment return. I don't know. International correspondence schools. Can Martians mate with humans? Science now believes that Martians are of the same species as world men. Recently, the American public got quite a thrill when 2 California titanium miners insisted that they had seen men from flying saucers who behaved in an extremely human-like way. At monthly intervals to the exact day, said the miners, John Q. Black and John Van Allen, a silver-colored flying saucer descended near their camp at the junction of Jordan and Marble Creeks, which is in a region of considerable isolation. It always came to rest on the same sandpit, landing on tripod retractable legs. A door in the base of the ship opened, and a ladder-like device was lowered. Down the ladder scurried a very man-like creature, about 4 feet tall, extremely broad-shouldered, and carrying a bucket made of some kind of silvery metal. Do you want to finish this story? Let's turn to page 52. I just feel like this is going somewhere. Swiftly scooping a bucket full of water from the creek, he climbed back on the ladder, which was immediately drawn up. The door was closed, and the saucer sailed off to return again and more water exactly 1 month later. So they were there on schedule a month later. So the miners were. Millions of persons were amused by this story, which they may have attributed to overactive imagination or deliberate hoax. However, not one but 2 men said that they saw these strange events. They agreed exactly on what happened each time, and they had excellent reputations for truthfulness and sobriety. There have been many reports of persons seeing the occupants of so-called flying saucers. Almost invariably, the creatures have appeared to be of humanoid type, persons basically very much like ourselves. Variations noticed have been relatively less than those existent between... Gosh. But anyway, let's just... Where's the part about whether or not we can mate with them? On the moon, because of its scanty atmosphere, life probably never progressed beyond the lichen, moss, and possibly small insect stage, and never have the opportunity. I think that I don't know if this is going anywhere. I think that article was kind of like clickbait. I don't see. Yeah, I don't see anything. Yeah, disappointed. Okay, let's get on with this. Borrow $50 to $600 by mail. No one to see. No co-signers needed. Repay in convenient monthly installments. Thousands of men and women like you use our confidential by mail loan service. That does not sound like a good idea. Pay doctor's bills, pay old debts, pay insurance, pay for home repairs. I don't know about that. I think that's a bad idea. The truth about the Limber case. This might be interesting. Was the Limber case completely solved? If so, why are there so many unexplained mysteries still surrounding this baffling kidnap murder? Let's see. There is some interesting stuff. Now this might be a interesting read here, if you like history, but it is still kind of pretty tabloidish. How boxers get punch drunk. I'm gonna go with probably being hit in the face. Probably is how that happens. This is a story about cannibalism. The president's harem. This is President Manuel Gonzalez of Mexico sold his country down the river to buy the world's most debauched harem. Never heard this story. Hogan the Magnificent. 4 years ago, they said Ben Hogan would never play golf again. They should have remembered Ben is at his best when all the chips are down. So there's your sports story. My War with the Headhunters. This is your headhunter story. Homecoming. Kyle returned home intent upon murdering his best pre-war friend. This is your fiction part of the magazine. How long is this story? I might actually if you have the patience. If you don't want to hear the story, you can fast forward, but I'll go ahead and read it. Okay, Homecoming by E.M. Bach, and here's the picture. Okay, there it was. For the first time in 2 years, Kyle Hampton stared at the small, secluded house with the white picket fence. This was his home. It was supposed to house laughter and love and happiness, and within it were lies and deceit, indifference and hate. He shifted his heavy coat in the crook of his arm, and his lips curled back without sound as he started forward. He was at the gate now, the gate in the useless white fence that Anna had insisted on. Kyle, I know it's no good. It won't keep anything out, and it won't even keep little Charlie in. But oh, Kyle, I've dreamed of having a white picket fence with flowers. The pickets on the gate were sharp, and the hinges even creaked a little nostalgically. Something happened to Kyle's throat then, and something hot and bright and shining came between his eyes and the house. It was just a breath of air, pungent with smoke. But in the eternity he had been away, he had forgotten the smell of his father's pipe. Now it came on the clean afternoon air, and Kyle knew that this was his home. His father's short, round figure came around the side of the house and stopped short. The two men stood looking at each other in dead silence. The strained, hard, brown length of the soldier and the dumpy figure of his father. The older man's fingers moved, then his hand. He reached slowly upward and removed the pipe from his mouth. Kyle, I was hoping you'd come. I've been waiting. Pop. Somehow they were together, and there was the good, thick smell of tobacco on Kyle's nose and the soft, woolly feel of Pop's faded old sweater under his fingers. Then they were apart, looking at each other with a sort of shamed embarrassment. A moment later, the brightness faded as Kyle's eyes turned toward the house, and his face seemed to harden and set, and ugly lines grew around his mouth. Where's Anna? Pop's head jerked toward the house. You've got a fine wife, Kyle. A fine wife and a fine son. That's some boy, that young Charlie. I'm right proud he's got my name. Makes you feel like, well, like maybe somebody might remember you. Pop cleared his throat, and Kyle could feel the grip of his father's short fingers on the tense muscles of his upper arm. Go on in and see them, boy. They're waiting for you. Been waiting a long time. He clapped Kyle's shoulder, a thudding whack. The blow disturbed the careful draping of the heavy coat over Kyle's arm, and the older man's eyes widened silently as he saw the heavy service automatic in his son's hand. Kyle, are you crazy? What are you doing with that gun? The two men's eyes were fixed, locked. Kyle's blazing with frozen determination into the worried, anxious ones of his father. I think they were supposed to have eyes there. Typo. Who told you, Kyle? How'd you find out? Some fool blabbermouth, I bet. That's why I wanted to see you first, Kyle. I wanted to tell you. Kyle jerked his arm free of his father's clutching, restraining fingers. What is there to tell? Is it true or not? Is it? Charlie Hampton shrugged helpless shoulders. Is what true or not? How do I know what lies you've been told? How do I know what you've been led to think? For just a moment, Kyle's taut body eased, and then the strain came down again. Something warm and living came into this. Oh, wait, where are we at? Continue on page 62. Oh, sorry. 62. I got a letter from Cynthia Harley. Pop snorted. That's good. Christian woman. Goes to church every Sunday after sitting up all Saturday night watching the neighbors' back doors. Well, what's she say? That Anna doesn't love you? That is a lie. Anna, Kyle's soft, deadly words cut in. She told me that Anna's been going around with John Connors. She told me that she had seen them kissing. His words died, then blazed again. The last slanting eyes of the sun glinted on the gun as it moved impatiently and wickedly. I haven't been away 2 years fighting for this. Leave your home and your wife, and some dirty draft-dodging son of a skunk moves in. Well, the Army's taught me how to fight, how to kill. I don't take this from any man or any woman. Kyle, his father's fingers were biting into the arm again. Kyle, that's murder. A dry, dead laugh came back from Kyle's lips. His head jerked back. Murder? God in heaven, what do you think I've been doing these last 2 years? He turned and faced his father squarely, his feet steady and far apart. Listen, I know 20 ways to kill a man, coldly and silently. I've killed Chinese, I've killed Koreans, men I didn't know, men who had never done me anything because they were enemies of my country. Now why can't I kill one man who is my own enemy, my own personal hate? And I wouldn't kill him silently and underhandedly. I'd kill him in the open. There won't be any doubt about it, because he's taken what belonged to me. Will that be murder? His eyes were blazing, and he turned impatiently toward the house. Wait, Kyle, his father panted after him. Kyle, that woman, she didn't know what she was talking about. Anna loves you, Kyle, I know it. She loves you. Man, can't you understand that? The tall soldier stopped and slowly turned. His words were low. But she went around with Connors. The older man shrugged. She was lonely. She kissed him. Charlie Hampton snorted again. You're a grown man, Kyle. What is a kiss? Look at me. Don't tell me that nowhere in Japan or Korea you didn't dally a bit. Don't tell me, Kyle. I was in the last war. The soldier's eyes wavered. He jerked his arm free again. That's different. The short man's laugh rolled. He chuckled. Put that cannon away and go in and see your wife. She's waiting for you. Been waiting. And believe me, she loves you, Kyle. She's your same sweet Anna. Something warm and living came into the soldier's dead eyes. His lips moved uncertainly, and then he turned and went slowly towards the house. Once he stopped, he looked back. His father was watching him, his eyes bright and crinkling. The hand that still held the pipe made a pushing gesture and waved him on. Kyle opened the front door and went silently through the living room and small dining alcove. Anna was in the kitchen, leaning over, peering into the oven. A hot, spicy smell seeped through the small room. Kyle stood silently in the doorway, watching her, and something of the frozen stillness about his heart went away. Anna closed the oven door, straightened up, and brushed a loose tendril of hair from her forehead with the back of her hand. Then she stopped with her arm poised, her eyes big and hungry on Kyle's face. Something welled from the shining depths of them and spilled down her face. She stood there trembling, crying silently and terribly. She didn't seem to be able to move. Kyle went slowly toward her and took her in his arms. Her tears were hot on his neck. Kyle, is it you? Is it really you? What was left of the madness in Kyle's mind dissolved. Anna. Oh, God, Anna. He cupped her face in his two hands and looked down at her. He could do nothing but repeat her name over and over and over again. Anna's fingers smoothed his hair, lay warm against his cheeks. Are you all right, Kyle? Are you all right? Now, Anna, now. He held her tightly. But when I think of what might have happened, oh, Anna. Her fingers soothed him. You're home now, Kyle. Forget the war. It doesn't exist while you're here. You're home. His hands were soothing her soft hair. Not that, Anna. I was crazy mad. You get like that, I guess, when you've been gone so long with nothing but dirt and blood and thunder in your ears. And when you come home, that's all you remember. The violence. You get so you don't think anymore. You just do things. God, I'm glad Pop was outside when I came. He pressed her closer. Oh, Anna, if I hadn't seen him, what I might have done. Anna drew slightly away so that she could see the look in his eyes. Pop? Her eyes widened, and her voice was a whisper. Did you say Pop? Kyle nodded and nuzzled her hair. Anna's words were even lower. I wrote you, Kyle. I wrote you. Her eyes searched his face, wide and full of wonder. Kyle, Pop died 2 months ago. The end. Whoa. That was chilling. So, what did you think of that story? That was actually a good little twist ending. So, it's also just a good little time capsule in 1953. But, you know, the attitudes, you know, the coming back from the war and everything. But so, the story is he comes home and he's set to, you know, murder, you know, his family. And his father stops him only to find out it was a ghost. That's a pretty good ending. Now we're back into the magazine, and let's see the real facts about rejuvenation. This is like the Fountain of Youth. Ponce de Leon didn't find the Fountain of Youth in Florida, but scientists found it in laboratories. Once again, if they can't do it now, I don't think they could do it in 1953. Forget those long shots. A top track authority gives you some tips on how to place your bets and stay in the money. So this is an article about horse racing and gambling. How to do your own insulation. Yeah, when I was looking at the table of contents, I was thinking, did they mean insulation? But I guess they did. This is a handy article about doing your own insulation. My only tip about that is keep in mind that insulation is made out of fiberglass, so make sure you wear a respirator and gloves. Because that stuff, if it gets in your lungs, it can cause problems. And if it gets all over your hands and on your skin, it can really... It's tiny microscopic glass, basically. Why Kinsey must be wrong about women. Can Kinsey really get the girls to tell him all the truth? Many psychology authorities claim that his famous method can't possibly be successful. The happy erotic life of Harley Thompson. Women swooned over Harley wherever he went. He found the one sure way to make girls give him the eye. I'm probably not going to read that one. I like the first story I read. Pretty good. This is the Pinup Parisian, and these are pictures of topless women, and they have drawn or airbrushed something to cover up the explicit parts of this. So this is in the days before Photoshop, but I guess it just kind of shows also that this magazine was still fairly tame, even if it was a smutty magazine. But in 1953, I can assure you this magazine still would have gotten you in trouble, because it's just short. This probably would have been illegal if they hadn't have done that little bit of touching up here. Let's see. Yeah, more of the same. So this is probably the most explicit part of the entire magazine here. Now we're into another article, how an athlete should eat for strength. There's Babe Ruth. It's just diets of famous athletes. Jack Dempsey. What does it say? John O'Sullivan trained on beer and lots of beefsteak. So, a few of the top athletes could eat anything and still maintain their power. Jack Dempsey's favorite food was pickled herring. This is Screwball Sex Inventions, kind of a oh boy, I think it's more like jokes. Your libido is showing. Handwriting tells all. Oscar Wilde's foppish tendencies are apparent in his handwriting. Relationships of letters to each other add extra note of indolence. So, it's handwriting analysis, which is another kind of pseudoscience. How you can become famous again, more of that. How boxers get punch drunk, more of that. International correspondence schools. Before Sally Struthers, you just clip this out and you could get. Did they have gun repair? Because I always remember on the Sally Struthers ads they had gun repair. That was like textile engineering, cotton manufacture, rayon manufacture, woolen manufacture. There's a lot of jobs in here. Tomorrow's leaders are busy tonight. Lighted windows and burning ambitions. The two go together, and with them, in over 100,000 cases, go the teaching texts of the international correspondence schools. These men are studying to be tomorrow's foremen and supervisors, department heads, and office managers. Let ICS show you how you can join them. Simply mark and mail the coupon. It brings full information. And here's as we continue on with articles. More continuations. How Martians mate with humans. I don't know if they get to it. I'm still seeing just lots of facts about space. Clickbait. What can I say? Hogan the Magnificent. And here's some ads for women's supplies, which is interesting because this magazine is totally targeted for men. Now keep your middle line youthful. Rubber waist nipper reduces inches, pounds, years from your appearance instantly. So this is a girdle for women, and they are plugging it in this straight up men's magazine. That's interesting. And over on this side, there's work clothes for men, song poems, poker checks, something about hernias. But then here's what is this? Rollicking, thousands are enjoying rollicking bedside fun, and you too when you possess the pleasure primer, the ideal playmate. Here's entertainment for open minds and tickler spines. Here's lusty, merry recreation for the unsqueamish men and women. Here's life and apologies to none. Collected, selected from the best share there is. This zestful primer is an eye-opener for the inexperienced, wisdom for designing, merriment for all. It is guaranteed to make the lassies giggle and he-men erupt in boisterous bellyfuls. There is no refuge for the straight-laced or satisfaction for the morbid. Served in a highly inviting manner, this pleasureful primer is a blueprint for uninhibited living. Call it a gay evening's entertainment or an ideal bedside companion. You'll dally over its contents time and time again. You are invited to examine the pleasure primer 10 days at our expense. It is guaranteed to please, or your purchase price will be refunded at once. I have no idea what this is. Some kind of smutty book from 1953, I guess. I don't know. This is very interesting. This is what you're looking at. What you've been watching in this video is this is the underbelly of the 50s. The 50s was a time of there was definitely, appearance was everything, and this kind of stuff was very frowned upon. This kind of stuff was secret. This type of magazine would not be out in the open. Maybe in a college frat house. Maybe, and even then they probably would have it out in a joking manner, but it's absolutely funny to read this. But at the same time, it's so similar to things like Maxim and other like male-oriented magazines nowadays. And it's along the same lines. It's just a little bit, in some ways, it's even more innocent. if that makes sense. It's strange. Here's hair dye. Soles, leather, and tough textiles. It's like a sewing thing. Can't sleep. Noisy neighbors, barking dogs. Oh, earplugs. Write thrilling love letters. How to make everyday events sound interesting. How to make your sweetheart write more often. Oh, that's kind of sweet. Naughty, naughty, French naughty. She'll look bewitching and naughty, naughty, the French style naughty with the zip and zest of the can. Alluring peekaboo black lace reveals all her charms. Clinging sheer rayon caresses her every curve. And that ooh la la single shoulder strap holds everything. Give her naughty, naughty. She'll love you for every filmy inch of it. $9.98. There's more of that handwriting analysis article. No time limit hospital plan. Pennies a day. This is another scam. Here's another thing about hernias. Like, man, they just cut to the chase on hernias and hemorrhoids and rectal problems. It is like this magazine just is covering every embarrassing possibility you could have in 1953. Some of the stuff I'm just not going to read. 1953 polio facts. Research will mean victory. Oh, it's a photo ring to put your sweetheart's picture in on a ring. Here's a book. Anyone can learn how to dance. We're free as a bird. A quick action opportunity to win $25,000 in cash prizes. More stuff about ruptures. Amazing discovery. Ashamed of your bust line, then you should have Mrs. Parker's cream, which will, I promise you, will do nothing. Speak French and Spanish with these vinyl records. Make crime your business on the side of the law. Help fight crime. Learn how to become a fingerprint expert. Free how to easily draw artist models. Valuable illustrated guide. It's from Norton's Products, which tells me they don't specialize in art supplies. New hobby. No, I know why they're buying this book. It's a picture book, and it's smutty. Come on. Stud poker, if you want to stop smoking. How to make money with simple cartoons. How to get along with girls. It's easy to win her. Here's more scams. Loneliness unnecessary. Lonesome. Oh, these are this is we have online dating now, but this is meeting people via the mail. Lonely Hearts is what they called it back in the 50s. Lonely Hearts ads. And basically, almost all of these are ways where you would connect with other lonely people via mail. And then you would maybe trade phone numbers if you had telephones and so forth. Interesting story about this. There were some murderers who preyed on Lonely Hearts people or criminals. They would rob them, murder them. It happened. Look it up sometime. It's interesting. There was even a pair of murderers, a couple called the Lonely Hearts Killers. So these are all Lonely Hearts ads. It's interesting to look at. But this is what, what are the websites you always see on TV? The matchmaker sites and stuff. That's the equivalent of this. Ooh, some of these names, though, let me tell you. I don't know if these are, how legitimate these are. Because I think some of these things meant the same thing then as they do now. Discover your hidden strengths. Stop belly bloated with gas. My goodness, we are covering every embarrassing thing. Gas, hemorrhoids, hernias, hair loss, gray hair. My goodness. Develop your voice to command business and social success. Cancer strikes 1 in 5. Strike back. Give. There's actually something. I just don't know if I trust anything, and I wouldn't want to send my money to anything here. Oh, and learn to be an accountant. I am not gonna. I have a master's in accounting. I'm not gonna get an accounting degree from Sir Magazine. Good gracious. Men, amazing new bodyguard saves your back. Look at that thing. Men, send for this money-making outfit free. See how easy it is to make up to $15 in a day. Oh. So, to sum up, it's Sir Magazine was a lot of scam ads, some interesting stories. We read one, some tabloid-like nonfiction, some a little centerfold of PG-13 smuttiness, and just in general preying on every insecurity a man had. So that wraps it up. And I must say that this is exactly what the internet is today. So it's just in a paper form in 1953. But oh, how it's pretty much the same thing. What I always say about history is the only thing history teaches us is that we never learn anything. And this magazine shows that the same crap that's been out there targeting you and taking advantage of you is out there today. And he hasn't even hardly changed its wording. But either way, I hope you enjoyed this amusing video, and I hope that you'll keep tuning in, and please rate, comment, and subscribe. Bye.